Hey there, everybody. We just received about 45 yards of fresh wood chips from the lot that is actually just behind where you folks are right now. Not literally, figuratively, if you're the camera. And real quick, I want to thank York Woods Tree and Product for the generous gift of the wood chips that they dropped for us. Uh, Part of their business model relies on taking these chips and turning them into additional mulches or coloring them or aging them for compost and then reselling them as part of a way to defray their operating costs and to recoup some of the waste stream that is created during tree removal jobs. So, if you guys are watching, bottom of my heart, thank you so much. I know you didn't have to do it, and I really, really appreciate it. But without them, I might not have had the thought to do this video or to talk about the things that I'm going to talk about. And yeah, I'm also interested to hear your thoughts and hear or see or be part of a conversation about how you approach this topic and how you interact with challenges like this. Let's call them that. I don't feel like I have to say this, but I'm going to say it for the sake of saying it. You all are awesome. Please remember that we can respectfully disagree with each other about our approaches without losing sight of the person that we are having that conversation with. And challenge and pushback is okay, but if we're hoping to help each other be the best ecosystem stewards we can, then encouragement and not discouragement is the thing that is going to grow those connections and build that sense of commitment to the cause. So let's get into it. As some of you know, we work a lot with wood chips, and we've done a number of projects going back into the woods that have involved the use of hundreds of cubic yards. This 45 probably puts me at a lifetime total around 400 or 500 yards, probably more if I'm being realistic. How we obtain those chips has a qualitative value on the ecosystem repair service work that we are doing, with the carbon sequestration that we're aiming for, with the cycling of nutrients that we're hoping for, and with the drawdown of carbon in the atmosphere that we are working towards. So I've had a few thoughts while working this pile and having a discussion with another person online who's really kind of helped me to crystallize how I feel about some of these things. So I hope you all will forgive me waxing philosophical for a moment. All of the chips that you see right here literally came from next door. The ones that we did last year, the 200 and change cubic yards, came from another abutting property. Where we are, we exist in a district, a zoning district called the Farm and Forest District. We have a number of lumber crews, fellers, tree harvesters, loggers, arborists working in this area. And for a lot of those companies, for a lot of those individuals, the tree removal is one aspect of their business, but the wood chips are an additional dividend that they can use to turn around and continue their work in the field. And there's a lot of emphasis in regenerative gardening circles that really push the idea that you should be getting wood chips in whatever way you can to push your designs forward, or to remineralize your soil, or to start on a hugelkultur mound, or any of those things that you've seen wood chips advocated for. Paul Gauci, the progenitor of the Back to Eden movement, had a ton of wood chips that he used. I don't know precisely how they went about sourcing those materials. For me personally, I think that working directly with the arborists and the loggers who are doing the work is the most beneficial way, at least in my context, for how to source those chips. While ChipTop doesn't really operate in our area, at least not with any kind of regularity or success in my experience being on there, the face-to-face time and the communication with our neighbors when they have tree removal projects has really helped us to bridge those gaps between what we are looking for and the kinds of services that operate and provide the materials that we are in want of. And in the sense that we can interject ourselves in the supply chain of the life cycle of a wood chip, if we're able to reduce the amount of fuel miles or the carbon footprint of their processing, I think that's great. If you are able to collect them yourself, if you are doing a chipping project, if you have trees that need to come out and the wood chips themselves are what you are after, I'm going to advocate that you take a look at stick mulch or look at ways to reduce the amount of fossil fuels that you need to use for that project to be successful. Perhaps a redesign of your end product or a redesign of the time frames is more appropriate than burning fossil fuels. I have a similar feeling about ordering in large quantities of wood chips. Not only do I think that the supply chains and the avenues for receiving them exist outside of the scope of a monetary transfer, I think that the relationship that you build with the person is far and away more valuable than the money you'd trade. And it feels acceptable but not great to be using additional fossil fuels over and above what was taken to create those wood chips. So I know that Mollison and Holmgren, Lawton and Holzer and Ben Falk and every other person who's written a book who is better recognized than me has already said, if you have to burn fossil fuels that one time or those handful of times to get your system up and running, that's okay. That is a justified use of the expenditure of carbon and fossil fuels. From where I am standing, I think that if a one-time or few-time use of fossil fuels to set up a productive, mostly permanent agricultural system or gardens that further reduce your carbon footprint is okay and is acceptable and is a worthwhile achievement, then I really think that if you're able to insinuate yourself into those processes and reduce the amount of fossil fuels that would otherwise be created without your involvement, I think that's an order of magnitude greater than the commissioning of burning of fossil fuels in order to set up your system. So that's really all I have to say. Those are my thoughts right now. I'm incredibly interested to hear what your thoughts are. So I hope if you have them, I'm sure you do, I hope you'll share them with the class and the group. So until next time, thanks for watching. Happy planting.